Someone said something to you recently and you are still carrying it. Not consciously, but it is in there, in the way you reread the message, in the flatness that arrived on Tuesday and has not left. And here is what makes it worse. You know it is small. You know it should not have this much weight, which means you are now carrying two things, the comment and the fact that you cannot put it down. You are not weak. You were never taught how not to be reachable, 7 principles, not how to appear unaffected, how to become genuinely difficult to reach, which is a different skill and considerably rarer, and the 5th is the one that does the actual work, because it removes the thing every one of these comments is standing on. One thing before we begin. Do not listen to this as motivation. Motivation is the thing you consume instead of changing, and it lasts about a day. Listen as though each principle is naming something that happened to you this week. And when one lands and you feel a small movement in you to explain why your situation is different, do not. That is the part worth paying attention to. Principle 1. Epictetus was a slave in Rome, not metaphorically. His body was legally owned by another man, and that man was cruel. The story that survives is this. His master began twisting his leg, apparently to see whether pain would break him. Epictetus said, calmly, without raising his voice, "You are going to break it." The master continued. The leg broke. And Epictetus said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" No rage, no pleading. He limped for the rest of his life. And the reading most people take from that story is wrong. They hear it as proof that he felt nothing. He felt it. The bone broke in his body, not in a metaphor. He was not beyond pain. He was beyond being moved by it. And those are not the same achievement. So the first principle is a location problem. Most men keep the thing that decides their state outside themselves, in a message, a reaction, a number, another man's face. Anything kept out there can be reached by anyone who happens to be standing near it, but knowing it should be inside does not move it. Principle 2 is where it actually gets moved. Principle 2. Epictetus wrote the sentence the whole of Stoicism runs on. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions they form about things. Watch what that claims. Not that the comment did not hurt, that it could not hurt. That between the sound arriving and the pain existing, something of yours had to be added. Test it. Think of a message that enraged you until you found it was meant for someone else. Nothing about the words changed. The event arrives without permission. The meaning does not. So the practice is to separate the two, on paper, once, because you have never actually seen them apart. Take the thing you are carrying. Write what physically happened. The words, in quotation marks, and nothing else. Then write what you added, what it means, what they must think, what it says about you. The second column will be 5 times the length of the first. That difference is not their doing. It is yours, and it is the only part of this you were ever able to change. Now, seeing that is easy in the evening. The problem is that it arrives at speed. Principle 3. The comment lands and your response is already forming. Not chosen, formed, but between what happens and what you do there is a gap, roughly 2 seconds wide. And almost nobody uses it. Epictetus called this faculty prohairesis, the power of deliberate choice, and made an enormous claim about it. Everything else can be taken from you. Your body, your reputation, your work, the people you love. This one thing cannot, because it is not the sort of thing another man can hold. 2 seconds is not a delay. It is the only territory you have ever fully owned, so you install a question in that gap, and it is always the same one. Not what do I feel like doing? Not what would satisfy this? Just, who do I choose to be right now? But 2 seconds only helps if you know what you are choosing toward. Quick one. If you have replayed a conversation in the shower and delivered a better answer to nobody, type shower in the comments, just so you can see how many men are running the same tape. Principle 4. Here is why criticism reaches you so easily, not because it is powerful, because there is nothing already standing where it lands. Most men have no internal standard, so they run on whoever spoke last. Praise on Tuesday, dismissal on Thursday. Epictetus gave the response, and it is not the polite one. If someone tells you that a man speaks badly of you, he said, do not defend yourself against the charge. Answer instead, he clearly does not know my other faults, or he would have mentioned those as well. Read it properly, and it is not humility. It is a man saying, my file on myself is more complete than yours, and it was open before you arrived. You are not governed by the popular vote of other people's opinions, so you build the file. 3 or 4 lines, written once, on what you actually hold yourself to. The standard, not the go. Then criticism becomes an audit rather than a verdict. If it is true, take it and correct something. If it is not, it was never about you. It was about what the person delivering it is carrying. Either way, you are unmoved, and that is the whole point of having a standard at all. Now the principle this entire video was built around, because everything so far handles what has already happened. Principle 5. There is a specific thing you have never let yourself imagine. Your mind approaches it and turns away every time. Losing the person, losing the work, losing the health. You call that being positive. It is not. It is why the thing has power over you. The Stoics went the opposite way and named it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. Every morning, deliberately, they walked through what could go wrong. Modern advice does the reverse, visualize success, and has produced a generation of men who come apart the moment reality declines to cooperate. Fear is not a warning about the world. It is the sound of a scene you have refused to watch. So here is the practice, and it takes 90 seconds. Tonight before sleep, take the thing you are most afraid of losing and walk through it deliberately. Not the abstraction, the specifics, the first morning, the first week. What you would actually do on the Tuesday after. Stay in it. Do not flinch away at the ache, because the flinch is the entire problem. The first night it burns, the third it stings. By the 10th, something has changed, and it is not that you care less. It is that the scene has become familiar, and nothing familiar can ambush you. Marcus Aurelius did this daily while ruling an empire through plague, war, and the deaths of his own children. Not optimism, preparation. He wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you must, with the same weapons of reason that arm you against the present today." 2 principles left. The next is what to do with everything you have just rehearsed losing. Principle 6. Epictetus opened his handbook, the Enchiridion, with a division, and put it first because nothing else works before it. Some things are up to us, others are not. Up to us, our judgments as our choices, our actions. Not up to us, our body, our reputation, our standing, and everything else without exception. Read the second list again. Your reputation is on it, whether your work is recognized, whether the person answers, and almost every hour of suffering traces back to one error. Spending force on the far side. You are not exhausted from effort, but from effort spent where effort does not reach. The Stoic does not become passive, he becomes precise. So the practice is a sorting, done in the moment rather than in theory. When something starts to take hold, you ask one question. Which side of the line is this on? If it is yours, act, immediately and without discussion. If it is not, you release it. And releasing is not pretending to be fine. It is withdrawing the effort. The way you would stop pushing a wall you have finally noticed is load-bearing. 1 principle left, and it is not a technique. Principle 6. The French scholar Pierre Hadot spent much of his life studying Marcus Aurelius and gave a name to what the meditations are actually building: the inner citadel. A citadel is a fortress inside a fortress, the last position, the one that holds after the outer walls have gone. Marcus described it himself. Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Now look back at the 6, because none of them were separate techniques. Principle 1 located it. Principle 2 showed where the judgment gets added. 3 installed the gap. 4 built the standard that fills the space criticism lands on. 5 rehearsed the loss so fear lost its authority. 6 drew the line and recovered the force. None of it was about becoming untouchable. All of it was about building something inside that nobody was ever given access to, and it is not built in a decision. Marcus wrote the meditations privately, most nights, for years, never intending anyone to read them. An emperor doing this work in a tent, on campaign, at 50, because it was not finished. It is never finished. It is laid one moment at a time, and each of those moments looks like nothing while you are in it. Epictetus, a slave with a broken leg who owned nothing, said a wise man does not grieve for what he lacks but rejoices for what he has. He rejoiced. He had nothing anyone else could see. He had found the only thing that could not be taken. Your challenge is 1 principle, not 7. Principle 2. This week. The thing you are currently carrying, you write it out in 2 columns. What was physically said, in quotation marks, and everything you added. Then come back and comment, 2 columns, and how much longer the second one was. Most men report 4 or 5 times. That ratio is the most useful number you will find this month, because it is a measurement of how much of the weight was never theirs to begin with. And every principle here assumes something most men cannot do. Sit with a feeling long enough to examine it without reaching for a screen to end it. That video is on your screen now. 5 Stoic reasons being alone makes you unstoppable. It is the ground this whole thing stands on. I'll see you there.